Hi guys, this is Pam from the Woolly Dragon again. Just wanted to give you all a little update on how things are going with getting the 2023 garden started. So we're going to do a little bit of an update on some of the root cuttings that I did back last fall. The figs, the mulberries, and the forsythia, and some other various and sundry things. But I'll kind of show you how things are going right now. In case I forget to do something and my posting of the video is late, as always, today is January 24th, Tuesday, I'm thinking. I haven't bought my calendars to hang on the wall for 2023 yet, so we'll see. What do you want, Pearl? All right, so I'm going to come over here and we're going to show you me, Royal Queen. Show you how we're doing so far. We'll get everything that's kind of up here in the house, and then we'll go downstairs in the basement and kind of sort of show you how things are going down there. Okay, so here's my little setup. During the rest of the year when I don't have any seedlings going, this is actually shelving for various and sundry stuff for the kitchen and for canning and all that kind of stuff. But mid to late winter, early spring, this is usually my setup. This is a 5-shelf wire rack that I believe I got either at Amazon or Walmart a few years ago, so cheaper than it probably is right now, of course, but I'm glad to have it. So I got these little grow lights that I got on Amazon that have seedling growing capabilities, I'm guessing, hoping. Got 2 of those, this one and this one, that I've just got kind of fastened on here with zip ties. And these are the ones that you can latch up and then let go, so I can reuse them. I use them a lot, as you can tell from here's the red one, here's a green one, but I use these when I'm dyeing my yarn too. But so I've basically got 3 levels going on here. Kind of empty right now because I really haven't gotten into that much seed growing. As you can see here, I've started my onions. Way too many onions than I actually need, but we're going to try a few experiments and see. So when we did our seed inventory and we were going over the onion seeds, these 4 are the ones that I had before. I got Candy, Red Burgundy, Expression, and Sierra Blanca. These are the seeds that were quote unquote old, but as you can see, they're coming up. These were planted on the 15th of January, so about 9-10 days ago. They're coming up fairly well. And then come over here. This one, and this one are the ones that are new seed that I got from Baker Creek. These 2, which I think Australian and Red of Florence, are these guys. This is, I think, the Flat of Italy. Or is that the other way around? Yep, Flat of Italy, which there are more of them poking up now. But when you compare this new seed with this quote-unquote old seed, you never can tell. And then this one right here is my shallots, my Zabroon shallots. This is an empty cup because I had actually had 2 other seed things in here, but I had to keep on the heat mat. Now these guys are up. I can take the cover off and take away the heat mat, and they do just fine. And then these 2 right here are just green onions, the White Spear and the Warrior, I believe. Yes. Hey, and these grow lights actually give good illumination for my camera. Excellent. All right, so that's my onions. So they've been going about 9-10 days. They will stay in here until probably early March or so. We'll see how they do. I'm going to start feeding them a little bit of half-strength water-soluble fertilizer just to kind of get them a little bit more growth. As you can see, some of them come up with the little seeds still attached, and that's fine. What I'm gonna do is when they get to be over 3 inches long, I'm gonna give them a little haircut so they're 3 inches or under, and that way they won't get quite so leggy, and they'll put on more root development. This down here, not really a whole lot to show you. This has got the humidity dome on it. There's my seed mat, heating mat. And so this is basically my experimental tray right here. So this one is, these two, I got seeds from the MI Gardener website, coffee and dragon fruit. I have absolutely no aspersions or delusions that I'm going to be able to actually grow coffee or dragon fruit because I'm just not in the right zone. And I don't have a heated greenhouse that can take them through the winter and all that kind of stuff. So basically, I mean, it was $2 a pack. So big experiment. And then these two trays right here, this one and this one, I had gathered some seed pods from a mimosa tree last fall. And I'd taken out the seeds and everything like that, put them in a jar and put them in the refrigerator so they would get some chilling going. And these were just planted 2 or 3 days ago, so I have absolutely no idea if they're going to sprout or not, but we'll stay tuned. This one over here are my mystery seeds. I was doing this when I was making what I thought was blueberry jam, but there were seeds in them that looked more like grape seeds, but the actual fruit itself looked nothing like grapes, so no idea if they'll even come up, but they're in there. And these two, the coffee and the dragon fruit, the germination rate is anywhere from 2 to 6 months. So that's going to be the longest germination rate I've got, so I'm going to be keeping these guys. They also require higher heat than pretty much anything else that I've got. The packet says, you know, around 90 degrees. Don't know if they'll ever get that warm. But again, it's just a little experiment. And then my top row is one of several that I have. So what I've done is a lot of these are my Meyer lemon seedlings. I had bought a Meyer lemon at the grocery store last September, October, something like that. Used it, had a bunch of seeds in it, so I went ahead and planted the seeds and got 13 seedlings. And now, you know, end of January, I've ended up with 8 of them doing quite well. Some of them are longer and lankier. There's one right there that's a little bit more squatty and branching off. The ones in the front. But I'm happy that they're still alive. Here is my cutting from my phenomenal lavender and my 3 cuttings from my ARP rosemary plant that I think is dead. I hope it's going to come back once the weather turns for the spring, but I'm just glad I have replacements for it. All right, let me get this cup out of the way. And then I've got, kind of sort of see, I've got one fig there on the right toward the back that is a Celeste fig, and there's a couple in that pot next to it that may or may not be going to come back. I don't know. The 2 here in the front, I'm pretty sure probably not going to do anything, but I'm just going to leave them there because just never know. Now these guys, This is another experiment. I had gone to a orchard and gotten some apples and some plums, Stanley plums, and I managed to save 6 of the pits, put them in the refrigerator with some potting soil, and I just went ahead and replanted them. So there's a little sprout coming up. There's a little sprout coming up. So these are the successes so far, quote unquote. I've got 2 other cups with 2 other pits in each one. I haven't seen anything break the surface. I have seen roots, so we shall see. And you can see, this is one of the reasons why I love putting stuff in the clear plastic as opposed to the styrofoam. So shout out to Wendy's for having the clear plastic now. You can see the roots coming on, and it looks like it's circling, but I just transplanted that into the bigger pot, so it's still gotta figure out its way and go down, send the roots down to it. All right, so let me put a stop to this, and then we'll go downstairs and look at the rest of the cuttings. Okay, so here's the main bunch of the cuttings that I did last fall. These are mostly the supposedly dwarf mulberries, and these things, there's a couple of them that aren't looking too hot. Like this one, it actually did have leaves on it, but I made the mistake of putting it down on the ground when it was up inside in my kitchen a couple weeks ago, and one of my cats decided that mulberry leaves taste good. So, you know, if they don't grow, I'm not mad. You know, I'm gonna have more than enough mulberries, both regular and dwarf varieties, that like this little guy is not looking so hot. This little guy had a root when I put it in the new pot. This was one of those things where I had stuck like, you know, 9 or 10 cuttings in one of these pots. And then waited to see what happened. And when I came downstairs to separate them and put them all in their individual little cup here, whatever had roots and or leaves, mostly roots, you know, got a pot. So like if this guy and this guy and this guy here don't make it, I'm okay with that. Got a couple other things. These are mostly forsythia over here, and they are mostly doing it. See this poor little guy over here is trying to flower, so I'm just going to take that off. But it does have a little, does have little buds that may or may not turn into flower leaves. But if they don't, you know, we've got all these guys that do, plus a few more inside. I'm going to be okay with forsythia. Here's some more forsythia over here. You see these guys still looks like little green sticks, but they're green, and they look like they may be having some leaf buds. So these guys are downstairs in the garage. It doesn't go below freezing, but it still gets pretty cool down here. So I probably should have transitioned. Like this little guy over here is looking a little raggedy, but again, most of them here are. And what I'll do is I'll just come down. This is the part of the house that faces to the west. Pretty soon there's going to be sun coming in here. There already is some nice sunshine. So on nice days that have some sunshine, or even if they're rainy or anything like that, as long as it's not like blowing wind into the garage, I'll go ahead and open up the garage door and let them get whatever sun. These little guys may or may not turn into anything. These were cuttings from a plum tree at my parents' house, which, don't know. These 4 guys I need to water. These are actually, I've got, Lord have mercy, oh yeah, pawpaw seeds. I had bought some pawpaw seeds, and I think I put 3 per. I had left them in the refrigerator, the vegetable drawer. So what I'm going to do is water these guys real good, take them upstairs, put the caps on like you saw with the little plum seedlings I had. Just put the little existing caps that went with these cups and go from there. This little guy is a boysenberry that I had trimmed and went ahead and rooted. And it's got some little green leaflets coming in. There's another one. Where's that one? That's over here. Don't mind the mess. So here's another one. It's not putting out really any buds like the one on the other side did, but it's still nice and green. So again, we'll just see what happens. So I think what I will do from here on out, at least every so often, probably not every year, but I think what I will do is I will take cuttings from, forsythias are usually pretty darn winter hardy. They'll come back from anything. So probably not them, but in order to perpetuate, and I'm going to try and have like an actual living hedge with forsythia that'll block maybe some of the wind. We'll see what's going to do. The mulberries, I'm probably going to have to either sell or give away to friends or both, just so I don't have so many, because I really hate, having all this much success and end up having to dump all of them. So that's downstairs. And the fact that these guys have been down here over a week, probably 10 days or so, and most of them are still looking pretty healthy. I will have to watch out for watering. Putting my finger in here, still nice and, not like sopping wet or anything like that, but it is moist down here. So I really have to pay attention. Yep, that one's nice and moist. That one's obviously moist. So every once in a while, I'll just come down here and take a look at see and do the old finger down to the first or second knuckle to see how damp the soil may or may not be, and then go from there and water. But yeah, they don't look spectacularly sexy right now, but I wouldn't expect them to, considering the fact that it's the end of January. But cross my fingers, so far so good. Okay, so here's my 12-year-old rosemary. I don't see any sign of green. It's all brown. Well, there is some green down there, but it's from cedar seedlings that are trying to come up, so gotta pull those out before I get more. Poor rosemary. Well, I have to replace it for you if you don't come back, so that'll guarantee you come back, right? Yeah. What I might try and do is cut back really hard and just see. Give it a couple more months. Yeah, my other rosemary over here, this is one of those kinds that are supposed to grow really straight and tall to make barbecue skewers. It looks like it's a gun or two, but I've only had that for a couple of years. And yet, chives are coming up. And the thyme. This is the spot where my oregano is. We'll see if that comes back. Oh, winter, thou art heartless, you know what. And here are the mulberry cuttings, except for this one right here is a forsythia, and then this right in here is a forsythia that's not doing as well, but it did have roots. So we're just going to do one of those wait and see kind of things. But the rest of these all are mulberry cuttings. They're getting a little leggy, which amazingly enough, this one that's tall is supposed to be a dwarf. So either it's an overachiever, or I need to check and see if I should be cutting back some of these guys. But until I do, I come through in here and I water, I put my finger in the soil to see if it's dry or moist or anything like that. But I try like maybe once a week or once every week or 10 days or something like that, just to get in here and see if they need water. So far we haven't had any shriveling. They're all nicely growing. This is my office / guest room for when I have visitors to come see me. Obviously not married guest, but I'm not giving up my big bed for anybody. They can get a hotel room if they want to come in pairs. But yeah, so this is, weirdly enough, it faces the west, but it also, that's the south, and that's out west, which gets the afternoon sun and everything like that. But it's the easiest to keep cool in the summer and the easiest to keep warm in the wintertime. So if it weren't for the fact that I'm already set up and have been happily so for better part of a decade, I would switch rooms, but I like having the big room. And there's some of my fabric that I have on my website. Oh, and a lot of the yarn. Wall of yarn. But yeah, so here are my mulberries. A couple of forsythias. And so these are different from the ones I have downstairs in my basement / garage, who are cooler than in here. And so I'm wondering, because while these guys seem to be nice and happy and growing, they're getting kind of leggy too. So I don't know if maybe keeping them in the cooler garage and getting them sun when they can is keeping them kind of not stunted, but not wanting to grow as quickly as these guys. So I may see about taking them downstairs during a period that's going to be fairly mild, no surprise freezes or anything like that. But as you can tell from this, and when you see what the mulberries I have downstairs in the basement, I'm going to have a lot of mulberries. Wonder if anyone's ever done a mulberry forest before. I may be the first. Okay guys, well that's the video for this week. Just a fairly short, at least as far as I know, until I edit it, of course, and who knows what I'll add and what I'll add to this. It may be 5 seconds, it could be 12 hours, but we'll keep it down. So thanks for coming back to my video and seeing the perils of Pauline here. On my back deck, it's all of a sudden it's kind of sunny over there, but it's definitely cloudy over there. So we're supposed to get rain tonight. Not such a big deal, but we've been getting an awful lot of rain and then cold and then rain and then cold, and it's not really letting me get in and play with my bees and make sure they have food. But while I was out, I actually was out planting a couple of chestnut seedlings today. Finally, I actually bought them. For those of you who live in and around Tennessee, if you're looking for native plants, the Tennessee Environmental Council has a tree sale every year. I will try to remember to add the link, or at least the URL address, so you can plug it into your search engine. and you can get some native trees and bushes. I've actually gotten quite a few. I've gotten some pecan trees. There's, don't know if you can see that. Well, that's not what I wanted. Anywho, so I've got a couple of those, that tire and way in the back, and then that one right there. Those are my little chestnut seedlings that I got actually last March. I healed them into one of my raised beds, and they grew very nice and happily. And so I decided, well, if I wait too much longer, they're going to be growing up in one of my raised beds, which is not a good thing. So there's more of my beehives. There's another one of my beehives. They were out flying today. Okay, what else did I get besides the pecans and the chestnuts? I got this. That's Baptisia. I have a video, I think last year, showing it in full leaf and in bloom. Yeah, I gotta get this done because it's getting dark now. So that's a pretty plant. I'm kind of wishing I'd put it in a different spot, but not going to worry about it because it's actually growing. Is there anything else? Yeah, I got some red buds. I've got, where are you? All right, the twiggy looking thing in front of that black tire is a tulip poplar. The tire behind it is a red bud. That black tire is a black walnut that I pulled up and transplanted over here from my parents' house. That little twiggy thing next to the phone pole is the mulberry. I got it at the tree council. I also got elderberry. What else? I think that's all that I have this year. I'm not actually going to do any more since I have all these mulberry root cuttings and everything. Oh, someone's been messing around with my little barrier thingy there. That wild and crazy thing is an apple tree that I grew from seed 3 or 4 years ago. So yes, you can grow apple trees. And you can kind of sort of see that little tag right there, right in the center. That was where I had grafted on. I think it's either a Golden Delicious or a Granny Smith. And then there's a pink lady on the other side, I believe. Maybe not. But basically, I've been using this guy as kind of training for doing grafting and things like that. But mostly it's just a wild and crazy. And it provides, I think I also have a video on from last year of I think it was a mockingbird, actually had a nest in the tree with 3 little babies. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week. We'll see what I do next week. Guaranteed it'll be weird. Bye.